Everybody online and everybody in person. We're in a round. Somebody stole our table in the beginning, but it kind of looks like a living room, a round table fire chat with our resident enrolled agent, Sheree White, an expert and great networker. She and her husband started a networking group called Networking for Business. Help me welcome Sheree White. We're making you famous.
I thought about doing kind of a fireside chat kind of thing, ask me anything. And then I said, well, I have a few things that I want to, few nuggets that I'd like to impart. And then if there's time, we can do that, ask me anything. All right, so, I talk in my 1 minute introduction about the fact that there's a difference between a tax preparer and a tax professional. And I emphasize the word. There are people who say I can fix computers, and then there's you, a professional. So there's a difference. Difference is education. Difference is commitment to the profession. As I say, the entry bar to tax preparation is very low. $19 to the IRS for a preparer tax identification number, and you can go hang out a shingle. Nobody asks you what you know, certainly not the IRS. Nobody asks you what makes you qualified to do taxes, certainly not the IRS. And then the customers come. You hang the shingle and the customers come. And then we see them as professionals. There was a couple that actually a gentleman that came in when I was managing an H&R Block office that said he needs to file his tax return, and we get into a conversation, as I always do, to find out that he's married and he has children. So my next question is, did you live with your wife? Where's your wife? Oh, she already filed. How did she file? And then we find out that she filed head of household because she went to somebody, a shingle, and said, those signs on the side of the road, I can get you this much per child, and I can get you, well, that's what she ended up with. If she had let it go and not amended it, the IRS would have caught up with her eventually, and she would have been on the hook for all that money. So we amended the return, put them together. Yes, she had to pay back some of her refund, but at least she didn't have to deal with interest. And she didn't have to deal with those IRS letters that would surely come when things like that happen. And the person who did your taxes or her taxes would be nowhere to be found because they close their doors and take down their shingle after April 15th. So the big difference, as I said, is education. There currently is no actual continuing education requirement for people who do taxes unless you are credentialed. Unless you're a CPA, unless you're an attorney, unless you're an enrolled agent like Bruce and I are. And they also have something that's called the annual filing season program that requires an exam every year. And of course, my timer went down, but that's okay.
You have 6 minutes left.
Okay, I was going to say Bruce will let me know. So we're required to take 72 hours over 3 years with a minimum of 16 hours a year. As enrolled agents, all of that needs to be in tax update, and a minimum of 2 credits a year in ethics. CPAs and attorneys have other options. The tax part for CPAs, at least in the state of Florida, is optional. So there goes my question that I tell people to ask when they're looking for somebody to do their taxes. One way to tell the difference between a preparer and a professional: what makes you qualified to do my taxes? And it should be a reasonable answer, Not I've done my parents' taxes and I've done my kids' taxes. I had somebody who said that to me, not that made them able to do other people's taxes. He admitted that he would never try to do other people's taxes, but still, there are some people who will do that. And the second question is, when was the last time you took continuing education in taxation? And depending upon when you're getting your taxes done, that should be relatively recent. So EAs, as I said, their continuing education is strictly in tax. And because it's strictly in the areas of taxation, the IRS says that we are America's tax experts. Bruce gave me an argument for saying that we're better than CPAs, but there's a qualification to that. We're better than, and he's not a CPA, he just thought I should be nice. We're better than CPAs when it comes to tax, because we have to take only continuing education in tax, whereas, as I said, CPAs don't. The main difference is when people think in terms of, and they call us, they say, I'm sitting with my CPA, and I said to somebody once, but I'm not your CPA, I'm not a CPA, and he said, yes, but if I tell somebody I'm sitting with my CPA, they will let me get off the phone because they'll think I'm paying a lot of money. Right? You know, they think of CPAs in terms of lawyers, charging by the minute. So the main difference is that what a CPA can do that we can't is audited financials and certified financials. But the only people who really need that are publicly traded companies. And most of us are not, as businesses ourselves, publicly traded companies. So when you're thinking of who you should go to for your taxes, think about what you really need. You really need somebody who knows what they're doing, but you may not really need somebody who can certify your financials. So keep that in mind when you're trying to decide what to do. I want to bring up a few points. This was kind of a potpourri. Ownership information registration. So who here has an LLC? Okay, you've got one.
I used to have one.
All right, we've got one. Anybody else? You've got one. Okay, so if you formed your LLC with your state prior to January 1 of this year, you have till 2025 actually registration. And careful, because there are companies out there that are placing out things, making you trying to get you to believe that they are FinCEN and sending you to a website that looks like it might be FinCEN's website.
Yep.
A client sent me one the other day. The logo's almost identical.
Yep.
So you have till January 1 of 2025 if you registered your business with the state before January 1 of 2024. If you created your LLC this year, you have 90 days from the day it was created to register with FinCEN. And if you set up your LLC so that it's owned by another LLC, your registration has to dig down to who the actual people are. If there are corrections or updates that need to be made once the registration takes place with FinCEN, you have 30 days to do it. Anybody who sets up an LLC next year has only 30 days to register. All right, I don't know how much time I have for questions.
30 seconds till the end of your 10 minutes, and then we'll take a couple of questions.
Okay, so that was pretty much it. Oh, yes, penalties, thank you. willful disregard of the regulations could amount to jail. And generally, it's a $500 per day penalty for not registering. I believe that I hope that there'll be a little bit of leniency for 2024 anyhow. The webinar that I was on, and I'll wrap up, the webinar that I was on yesterday said that they're not, the FinCEN is not looking to do a gotcha. They're looking to educate and help people to comply so that it will be easier to find the bad actors. That's what this is all about. Okay, questions?
All right, give Sheree a round of applause for your you can get for presentation if you come 3 times, just like Sheree did and some other members. Anybody have any time for 1 or 2 quick Q&A, or we'll go into 10-second feedback and referrals?
I have a question. So you mentioned about if there's somebody that opens up a storefront and then just disappears, they're not able to be found to be held liable at all. But the person that doesn't disappear, if the IRS goes after them, are they responsible as the person that prepared the taxes for the errors?
Technically, no, because when you sign the authorization to file, you're saying that everything on the return, it's as if you sign the return. And that line says everything is true based upon your knowledge. That's why we make it a priority to make sure that our clients review the returns with our clients, and that they have at least a basic understanding of what's on their return, and they say, yes, this is the way it is.
I'm going to just put it another way.
Go ahead.
According to IRS, the taxpayer has their tax return. They have the primary responsibility. So if they want to stick their head in the sand and try to blame it on their tax preparer, that's not going to work.
Right.
But tax preparers have a high, especially ones that are under Circular 230, like we are, enrolled agents, CPAs, and attorneys. We have a high level of due diligence and ethical standards that we have to maintain. And if we do something that's not in our client's best interest, like fiduciary responsibility, then we can be penalized as well. But it doesn't subjugate or lessen the taxpayer's responsibility.
Right, it doesn't negate the taxpayer's responsibility. It's a separate thing.
Excellent. Thank you. All good points. Round of applause again. And in interest of time, we're going to take 10 seconds to go around the room real quick. Yes, I did shorten it. You have 10 seconds to give us feedback and referrals or any last thoughts.
Okay. I'm just going to reiterate about all of our meetings and Paul and Sarah's meetings. Tomorrow, we did reach capacity for tomorrow's meeting on Eventbrite. So if you want to come and you didn't register, please just drop me a quick email as early today as possible. And we hope to see everybody tomorrow. We have a couple of really, really good presentations going on.
And Patrick, 10 seconds.
Yes, well, Sheree's presentation was very informative. I enjoyed it. And my last words are, I've never met a client and a businessman that didn't want to reduce his taxes and increase his cash flow.
Thank you. And Marty, 10 seconds.
Sheree did an excellent job. At the same time, I'm looking forward to both your presentation tomorrow and Paul's presentation tomorrow.
That's his.
That there.
Is.
He's doing one tomorrow.
Thanks, Marty.
If
If you always need me to do a presentation, just let me know. Thank you. And Martha. Martha and Marty.
Having me one more time here. Thank you to everybody. Have a safe month. I will see you in a month.
Safe travels.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your feedback and referrals. And Sheree, any feedback or referrals? 10 seconds.
we finally connected.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
So thank you very much.
Okay, you got it.
And I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to do the presentation today. And if you think of any questions, I'm email, phone call, fax, text, away.
You know what they teach you in Toastmasters when you're speaking? You don't have to thank your audience. We should be thanking you.
I know.
But I know you know. You're seasoned. So, Pam, what's your 10 seconds and for referrals, if
Thank
any?
you so much. It was a great presentation. I learned a lot. Yeah, actually, my ex-husband's a CPA and my son is a CPA in Chicago. So kind of know a lot about what you were saying, but it was great to hear it. Thank you. I'm glad to be back here again.
At least she knows I'm not, at least she knows I'm
Yeah,
telling
I
the
know.
truth.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff my son tells me a lot about it.
Yeah, and I'm the son of a CPA too. My mom was.
It's in my family.
Excellent. Thanks, Pam, for sharing that. And Suzanne, 10-second feedback referrals.
Great presentation. I still stand by I think that Vincent is a great fundraiser because it was not well marketed, because everybody who I have mentioned it to says they did not know about it. And so I continue to, of course, mention it and then add you to it. Thank you, that's what I do. But anyway, glad to see you again, Kathy says thank you for the birthday card. She was so just touched by it. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning. We need to, obviously.
Excellent.
8:00.
Yes. Right now.
Early bird catches the worm. Okay, Lynn, 10-second feedback referral.
There is just so by this meeting. People here are just amazingly informed and they share. And Martha, I hope you have a safe and wonderful trip and we'll look forward to your return.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lynn. And Bob, 10-second feedback referrals.
Thank you very much. Very informative. Marty, thank you very much for taking a look at my situation. Appreciate it. That's about it.
Thanks, Bob. And Kim.
Great presentation. I learned a few things. Appreciate it. And I love this group. We really do get to know each other and refer to each other. And if you keep coming and spending time with this group of people, you will definitely benefit.
Thanks, Kim. And Sarah.
Sheree, great information. Knowledge is power, but you have to implement what you learn to your benefit.
And my 10-second feedback, if I can get it in 10 seconds. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Sheree. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Patrick. And thank you, Bruce, for all coming to our group, SPI, OMG, Networking for Business, as Sheree and Bruce call it as well, on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, 2 on virtual. No excuses not to get out and network and meet some consistent, repetitive referrals. And yes,
Just one,
yes.
one other thing. Forgot to mention, next week, Sherry and I are going to be doing continuing education. Unfortunately, we have to go to an all-inclusive resort in Cabo. So we will not be in the area. So our Tuesday Zoom meeting is canceled just for next week. And we will not be here on Wednesday, obviously. But we'll see you tomorrow or after we get back.
Don't have too much fun. And